All right, hi guys. We're live. Um, the Venice Club is just getting itself together. They will be starting their meeting in about 15 minutes or so. Let me try to catch all three things here if I can. One, two, sort of guys, really. Well, I got two anyway. That may be the best I can do. Actually, it's better than doing the three. I'd have to get further away. Um, all right, I'm gonna do the music intro when I start my program with the Venice Club. So just kind of hang in there with us until they actually open their meeting, get something going. Right now, they're not showing me anything, and I don't think I can show you anything because the Zoom never opened up for me. Let's see what this is. I've got a small active speaker video with a little thumbnail. If I can make it bigger, I can. But I don't know if I can move that. I don't know if I can pick it up actually. Let's see. How can I do this? Get back into. Uh oh.
What you got?
Well, I just lost what I had. Let's see if I go to present and then share. Let's see what opens. New link. That's not it. It's not picking it up. So I can't show the Venice link, which I've now even managed to lose altogether. Oh, there it is. I don't know how my screen, your screen sharing.
Are you working this screen share at StreamYard?
That's what I want to do. Yeah,
If you
I've
go to
got,
StreamYard, they'll be right next to your photo in StreamYard. It'll say present or invite, and then you can click share screen, and that should share your screen to StreamYard.
yeah, but it doesn't come up.
It doesn't come up. That's weird. Huh.
Meaning my screen. That's weird. Now I've lost that altogether. Screen sharing. Jeez. View profile, chat, remove pin, share. I've managed to thoroughly lose everything, I think.
Oh no.
That's leave meeting. I don't want to leave meeting. I'm screen sharing my screen. I don't want to be where I am. Stop share. Let's do that. Well, that helped. View, speaker gallery. All right, how do we get back? Zoom workplace. I don't want to be there. You need to turn that off. Well, it took a long time for the YouTube to open. Lags about 5 minutes.
Oh man. Are you on the laptop?
Yeah. Um, New link. Um,
Mhm.
I've got a screen up. Let me see if I can share present. I can't get it. I've got a screen from the Venice Club,
Yeah.
but I can't get it to come up under share entire screen. Wait a minute. What's that?
Share screen might make it work. It might.
It's not. I'm doing
It's
it.
not. Shoot. Hmm.
StreamYard Studio, Chrome tab, window, entire screen. Choose what to share with StreamYard. Entire screen window. Zoom meeting. Share.
I,
Well,
I see
that's
it
it,
down
but
there.
I know it's just blacked out. It's not.
Oh, it's
It's
showing the. I bet this is the song.
I
Yeah, that's the song. I don't know how we
oh
select the other. Do I need to remove the song maybe?
no, don't worry about that. Sharing. I'm sharing, but it ain't doing anything. Okay, camera invite guest, stop screen, image file, video file, extra camera, not working. I don't know. I
That's
was
strange.
not able to open Zoom on my computer, so I never got him, and now I can't. I can't get him on. What's this? Add to stage. Wait a minute, what is this? End of stage. Remove the immediate streams from the stage. Stop screen. Oh, well, it took it away. Present or invite.
Mm-hmm.
Video file, image file. That ain't it. Share screen. That ain't it. Share tab audio.
Yeah, that's got me stumped because I figured share screen would have it.
StreamYard. That's Venice. I mean, that's YouTube. I had it, and then but it wouldn't open. Stop screen.
I'm gonna check and see if Dean got home because he's really good at tech stuff.
New layout. How do I make this bigger?
Hey, Lou. Oh,
Yeah,
but you said you're in the background.
I got Dean. He's right here.
Yeah, again, I have a picture of the club meeting, and it came up on Zoom, and it's just a picture, which when I click on share doesn't show. It doesn't come up. And I'd like to get it up here if I can, but don't know how to do it. Looks like I got a total of 2 people at their meeting. 3, 4. Huh. This may turn out to be not as big a deal as I had hoped. But How many how many people we got here? Can't read this. 45. Can you hear voices in the background? No, I'm not talking to you. I'm trying to figure out how I can get you on um, on my live screen, and I can't figure out how to do it. And now I can't even. Yeah, it won't work. It won't. It won't find it. Well, it doesn't show up when I mean, I can see you. I've got you on my screen, but I can't duplicate that. Let me send you a link and see if you can click on that link. Yeah. You got it? You can't open your email? Dana, are you there?
Click my
Dana?
camera. Click the camera. Red camera. Right there. Click that. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I just sent them a link to StreamYard.
Yeah, I went and
And
got
he's,
dinged because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how to help on this end of it. I've
yeah,
never
I
used.
think we'll go in on StreamYard if they can get it open.
Hey, that sounds like a plan. Maybe that'll work. I'm not sure when it comes to Zoom.
All right, I'm leaving. Putting you back in the seat.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure it out on my end here and can't really see anything.
Yeah.
Was hoping Ding would be able to figure it out. We've been sitting back here for about, I don't know, 10 minutes trying to figure it out.
Well, yeah.
Hmm. The share screen didn't work, and that's what I figured would have made it do it with the share screen, but
Well, it wasn't an actual screen.
mhm.
It was a picture, but it was like a camera. It was a camera shot.
That makes
So,
sense.
so it really wasn't a page.
Mhm.
So the share didn't know what to do with it.
Will, does Zoom allow you to share links? Because you could always click invite guests and just send them the link to StreamYard, maybe?
Well, I just did that.
Mhm.
And he's trying to get his Gmail open
Mhm.
to be able to click on that link. And he can't get his email open.
Hmm. We'll get it sorted out.
Pardon?
I said, we'll
Well,
get it sorted out.
gotcha.
Awesome. I'll go in the background and watch the comments. Nice meeting you.
All right. Nice.
There we go.
Okay. Now, all right. Are you on the big screen? Oh,
Yeah, yeah, we are.
okay. Let me get a glass of water here.
Okay. I'm just trying to see if anyone else shows up. Because usually it's been like everyone shows up late, so I'm just trying to make sure. Because Chris was a maybe last I talked to him. I remember it's interesting too.
What about Val?
She can't come.
No?
Nope. That's what I meant. So. And I can't. That's not. I don't know about it.
Do you have any water?
There's
The Val can't say.
yeah. Yes, I think her brother.
No worries. How many people we still got with us, Dana? 50.
Yep, 50.
Amazing.
One
Well,
minute.
they're great. We have dedicated souls. I tell you what,
All right.
it's amazing. Ah,
Hey, can you still hear me?
yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay, cool. I was just checking because we messed with the mic earlier, so I just wanted to make sure because you know how finicky my mic is.
I'm getting feedback, so don't say much.
Okay, I just want to make sure Chris
I,
is not.
I should probably get you on my phone. It's going through their
It's just been
um, projector.
I tried something. Did that fix the feedback?
Much better.
I don't like them.
Why did
Oh,
do
no.
that?
I don't
Did
know.
you do, did
Nope.
you do that?
Nope. Computers have just been acting strange today. I,
I will tell you that I'm still working on these man. Go on. Yeah, I don't know how to shoot it. It's my heart, unbelievable.
and this mic.
Sure, how are you?
I hear Chuck.
Yeah.
Hey, Father Fish.
He has a very stentorian voice. He should be a public speaker.
right?
Yeah.
That mic's pretty good.
Uh, well, Paul, we have a large gathering.
Okay.
Father Fish,
Hi.
while you're waiting for us, why don't you go do a water change?
Water change.
A water change.
Well, yeah, I don't need to right now. I may need to take a break. How are you, Dennis?
Okay, so I'm just gonna start then. I was just making sure because it's like 7:20, so it should be good now. So not a lot of people tonight, but for people who normally come, just letting you know, next month I don't know about a meeting. I can't attend. I forgot my job has an event I have to do, so it's at night, so I'm not gonna be here. Unless someone else wants to take over for next month, I can't be here. The other thing too is if anyone did not hear yet, unfortunately Dr. Paul Weisel passed away on probably Sunday.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah, Dr. Weisel.
Okay, do we know him?
Yeah, he was speaker a couple times.
Oh, okay, all right.
So not 100% sure what happened yet, but he did have a heart like he went to the hospital maybe like a month ago for a heart issue. And it was one of those things where they're like, it's as good as it's going to be for now. Due to other like age and stuff, they didn't really want to go any further. I think something like that. So I talked to him when I got home. So seemed fine then. My friend tried to call him talk to him Saturday. Tried to call him Sunday. No one answered. Tried again Monday. So that's all I know. Other than that, I don't think there's any other news really that's fish related. So I will turn it over to you then, Luke. Are you ready, Luke?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So ready for YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what. Hi, guys. Happy to see you. Nice, nice to be back in Venice. I see Chuck back there.
Hey, I didn't know if you could see me.
Hey, Chuck.
Let's see.
And I saw Doc earlier. Nice to see you guys.
What's that?
We have about 50 people joining the Venice Club meeting this evening who are coming via a live stream on YouTube on the Father Fish channel. So our numbers are swelled, if if you like. We've got an extra 50 people here tonight. Um, Gee, so much has happened. I feel like what I ought to do is make a report on what's been going on with Father Fish since I left Venice some, what, 2.5 years ago, I guess it's been. Things have been, I do want to say, if anyone has a question, just speak up. I can't, I can only see one, two people. Hey, I see somebody waving their hand, but I can't tell who it is. It's too far away. I can increase my screen. I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I start all all of my live streams with a song that I wrote that I'd like to play for you now. That I don't think you've heard unless you've been following on
My
YouTube.
little fishes, as they swim about their home. I love my little fishes, as they swim about their home. When the sunlight shines upon them, and their colors begin to glow, I am drawn into a world where my heart longs to go. I imagine scenes of beauty and feel the warmth of love. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home. I have traveled the world over, but never found a peace that comes from watching my fishes as they swim about their home. My heart is happy and I am content to sit and watch them swim. I will not be alone while these fishies are in my home. When the sunlight shines upon them and their colors begin to glow, I am drawn into a world where my heart longs to go. I imagine scenes of beauty and feel the warmth of love. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home.
Well, were you getting feedback on that? That's a song I wrote while I was still in Venice. Are you getting feedback? I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, I'm getting feedback too.
Are you getting? Yeah, I don't know. Can you
I'm gonna
guys
turn
hear
my
me?
sound off and see if it helps.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, Brenda, Tina, don't say anything because it broadcasts. Oh dear. All right. Um, in back of me, you can see a new bank of tanks that we just built. Um, they're 3D. They're 21 tanks, mostly 10-gallon, some 20s on the bottom. And what we're doing with this, let me give you a full view of the room. This is the center of the room. We have a couple of 100-gallon pool. And then this wall, you can see one rack, the rest will be built tomorrow. This is going to be 4 large tanks, um, 2 4-foot tanks and 2 6-foot tanks, and they will have big fish in them. And then on this wall are 4 more tanks. Now I'm going to walk you a little bit next door. This we have how far my camera will reach. Let me get it untangled. Okay. Um, this is the front door coming in, and you can see we have we have tanks here. And then this is our pack out area back here. And all of those vats contain plants. And of course, we've got some racks here. All right. So that's kind of the basic layout. We moved into here about 6 months ago. We were in a smaller area, and it's working out real well. We're real excited about it. Um, let's see. Let me do this. If I go to full screen, I won't be distracted. So I left Venice 2.5 years ago, June of, I guess, 21, 22, June of 22. Came up, my brother had found a little cottage for me, which I'm still living in. And Brenda, my niece, began helping me out. She was cooking for me for a while. And then we started selling plants online. And we were doing about 15 or 20 orders a week. So she would come over to the house once a week and we would put together these orders and ship them out. We were doing our substrate. We were doing supplement and a few plants. That has grown into about 150 orders a week, plus a store and 3 full-time staff, including not including a number of people around the country who are involved with us through our Discord, their YouTube, and as support for all of these activities. So we've become quite an organization. I think currently there are 8 people on payroll, um, spread all over the world. We have a person in Sri Lanka who does video editing, another person in Denmark who is one of the writers for a book that we have published on as an ebook that you can get. Um, through our Shopify store. If you go to fatherfish.fish, fatherfish.fish is the main source for all of the links having anything to do with our activities. So you can click on that, and that'll get you into our store. It'll also get you into our Discord server. Our Discord server is remarkable. We have about 50 people who are trained to teach exactly how to do natural aquariums, deep substrates. There is also a group on our Discord who have been writing a book for about 2 years. We now have a publisher, Covenant Books in South Carolina, is publishing our book, which will be out, we think, in June or July. And that'll go into all of the major book retailers. It will be available online through Amazon. It'll be in Barnes and Noble, and it's going to get full distribution all over the known world. It'll be in about 2,000 locations. So we're enormously excited about that, and are hopeful that we'll be able to sell a few copies. We will have signed copies available at a premium that you can order. You'll be able to order them through our Shopify store, through the Father Fish store on Shopify. So that'll be available as well. So as you can hear, things have been moving right along. Now I'm doing the typical Father Fish thing, or Lou Foxwell thing, I should say, of spending every penny I get, trying to build the organization and get as many people on board as possible and do as much as possible. So we're we're about 2 years in on this project. We're not making any money, but we're not going broke. So and there is some hope and perhaps expectation that we'll be able to get this to the place we'll be able to do even more. We are supporting ourselves, so we're carrying the ball up to this point. And what we're all about is something that began with you guys way back when. Began when I first opened the first fish store. Really, even before that, but that was in about 2010. Opened the store over on Route 40. We got kicked out of by our landlord because we kept flooding the place. Um, we were offered the wonderful building on Venice Avenue, which we put the magnificent mural on, and I think we can it do this? There it is. Look at that. So we did that, and that began to open the door for where we were headed, which was in the direction of doing something that I had always had my heart on. Like so many of you, I got involved in this hobby as a child. I was fascinated by aquariums, just couldn't get enough of it. And then I had a dozen aquariums in my parents' basement when I was a teenager, and was doing all kinds of crazy things. And have kept tanks. I don't think there has ever been a time in my life when I did not have at least one fish tank. I've tried to remember back and try to look at every place I've lived, everywhere I've been, and there was always a fish tank involved. I always had at least one. So I've never been without an aquarium. But through it all, I realized that it's not an easy hobby for everybody. It's kind of tricky, and there's a lot of failure involved. You're dealing with live animals and live plants and what really is a foreign environment. I mean, we're putting them in water, for heaven's sake. That's we don't live in water. We may require it for our life, but we don't spend our lives with gills. And so we really don't experience that very directly and don't really understand its impact. So as a result, most of the people who try to keep an aquarium fail. And I took on the burden of trying to figure out what I could do, what I could teach, and what I could offer that would make it easier for people to be able to keep aquariums, keep them alive, keep them healthy, keep the fish going, maybe get some plants growing, and make it the kind of joyous experience that gets everybody into it in the first place. You know, nobody buys their first tank unless they are excited. You don't go out, oh my God, I've got to buy a fish tank because my kid's got to have a tank. I hate this. I hate it. I hate the tank. I hate the fish. Nobody does that. Everybody loves it. They love the fish tank. They love the aquarium. They're so excited about it. And so they try to do everything, try to learn what they can. They talk to people who do not have their best interests at heart. The big box stores are the worst culprits of all because all they care about is selling dry goods. That really is all they care about. And the more of them they can sell, the better. And the best way to sell them is to sell people sick fish and give them bad advice because that'll mean they'll come back with problems to solve. And the problems are solved by them spending a lot more money. It is an utterly and thoroughly despicable approach to the hobby. And I hate it. And I hated it back then. And I wouldn't do it. I refused to do it. So I worked at trying to figure out a way around that. And there were some people who were also working at it, a bunch of people. Way back when, a man who I met as a teenager, his name was Merle Cohen. He was one of the founders of the modern hobby, except he was a hobbyist. And he traveled all over the world running his business. It was called Aquarium Products, located in Glen Burnie. He started a shop. I met him on Greenmount Avenue in Baltimore when he had a little shop there. He moved out of there into an enormous $20,000, a 20,000 square foot warehouse where he sold enormous numbers of fish and dry goods and wholesaler. One of the first major wholesalers in the country. I met him again when I began working on the National Aquarium. And by then, he had focused on an approach to fish keeping, which included saltwater fish keeping, that promised the ability to be able to maintain fish in a healthy environment. And he was working on this. He had learned the basics from a man in Malaysia who was setting up big saltwater tanks in hotel lobbies with no electricity. They were open systems sitting out in the open, and they were alive with coral and fish. And it was amazing. And he did it all by bringing natural products into those systems. He brought that back and began to teach it to people around the country. Some of the first folks who picked it up were GARF, the Geothermal Research Foundation in Iowa or Idaho, and they're always kind of mixed up. And they set up a coral breeding station on top of a thermal vent, and it was all outdoors. And they raised coral, every imaginable coral. They developed what they called miracle mud, which I call aqua preta. Aqua preta is my contribution to the cause of creating a substrate that does not deplete of its resources. So that was one of the first things that developed when we hit Venice Avenue. We began putting that together. And we started doing dirted tanks, deep dirted tanks with sand caps. And that was critical because that made it possible to have a dirt aquarium without having muddy water. You put the sand on top of it, and the sand keeps it down in there, and it allows the plants to grow. They can take root in the sand and grow into the soil. That began the natural aquarium, a la Father Fish. And that's what that store was. And that's what this store is. And that's been my entire approach on Facebook. I mean, on YouTube. On the YouTube channel, I have almost 2,000 videos. It's 1,900 and about 46 videos. Almost 2,000 videos that I've published over the last 5 years. I guess it's just about 5 years. I've been on YouTube, and we've reached a level of 300,000. We just broke 300,000 subscribers. And we are making on YouTube about 10% of what we were making when we had 50,000 with YouTube. They have cut and cut and cut and cut and cut the amount of money that they pay creators. It is now substantially less than 1% of the gross income that they derive from publishing our videos. I noted that they are beginning to come up on charges now in the court system for their, I don't remember what the technical name was. It has to do with being um, a monolithic video information center that does not permit the kind of general access to the resources that they are absconding with. So I think what we will begin to see in the near future will be more businesses of the YouTube type that'll be growing up like newspapers. There won't be just one newspaper. There will be numbers of newspapers, numbers of servers that will be able to provide. I envision a tropical fish or maybe larger, a pet server that will only provide information and resources about the pet industry. It's a vast, huge industry, and it deserves much, much more than the tiny little bit of access that it has on the current YouTube platform. We, we, the entire pet industry reaches less than 1/10 of 1% of the entire YouTube platform and is blocked from accessing more than that. So I think these things, as we do more, as we grow, as we expand, we're pushing out the walls, and we're making things. We're aggravating the power structures. We're opening things up. And for my purposes, most importantly, we're making it possible for that little family with a couple of young children to be able to have an aquarium that they are continuously excited about, that they can go out into the field and into the ponds and creeks and collect things and bring them in and put them in that aquarium and celebrate the joy of natural life. And of course, the hobby is expanding to the point that, my word, there are so many fish available. That's what I'm doing here in this little shop. I don't have many tanks. I have very few tanks, but I have species you will never find in most other stores. You'll certainly never find them in a big box store. Exciting little fish. Just came across one. I've got to show you. This fish has been right there. Does anybody know what that is?
Filamentosus.
Can you see it? That is a mascara barb. They have been absolutely unavailable for 20 years. Nobody has been able to breed them. And there they are. Look at that. Just, and they're stunning. These are young. They get big, they get 3 to 4 inches. And they develop a lot more red, white, black. They're beautiful fish. Amazing fish. So many things like that. The big tanks um, that we're going to be putting, getting set up soon. I'm going to be working with predatory fish, and we're going to get some real beasts in. We will have stingrays. We will have tiger fish. We will have paddlefish. We're going to have some real monsters in here. It's going to be really exciting. And all of them will be living in natural aquariums, balanced aquariums, healthy aquariums, aquariums that grow plants, aquariums that don't require constant water changes because they're not being polluted. If you have to do water changes, it's because you're polluting your water. Get real. That's absolutely true. Now, there are some methods of fish keeping that there's no alternative but to do that because you really cannot set up, particularly in breeding operations where you're trying to crank out large numbers of fish. You can't do a natural aquarium because it does limit the numbers. It has to be balanced. So if you want to crank out 1,000 fish in a 100-gallon tank, you're going to have to do some things that involve pretty extensive water changes. But people who are on that level know what they're doing. That's not the average hobbyist. That's not the young family that's trying to have a little community tank. So, and it's not fair to expect them to practice what master aquarists practice as a means of being able to keep a little community tank. Well, I've rambled on long enough. Let me get back uh, to you guys. I have my sidekick Dana here, who's been monitoring the 50 or so people who are watching us on YouTube, and they're making comments.
Mhm.
So let me just open this up to questions, and then I'll be happy to get around trying to say hello to everybody. Any questions?
Yes, actually, we've got one
Oh,
question. I've got it up on screen for you. What can I add with a male betta and a
hold
female?
on, Dana. Dana, you're echoing so much. I can't understand what you're saying. Let me do this. Let me get you on the phone so I can get a report the um, on the chat and let me see if have I got you. Okay. Yeah. Hold on a minute. Are there any questions at the Venice Club?
I hope so. You can go up. Okay. Because it's never going to carry you back there. Sorry? It will never pick up from that. Right.
Thank you.
So coming forward here.
Hello, Father Fish. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm pretty
What's
good.
your name? I'm not familiar with you.
Oh, you are actually. You've responded to me a couple of times because I've talked to you online on your.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yes, it was wonderful. So I have a couple of questions for you, but I'm going to start with just one and let somebody else have a chance to talk to you. And if they don't, I'll ask you my second one. So my first
Sure.
question for you is: I've heard Corey McElroy talking about your method quite a bit in aquarium co-ops programs as well. How do you differ from Diane Waldstedt's method? Could you tell us in your own
Yeah.
words?
Yeah. Uh, Diana's book, her first book, uh, she she went through the entire process of a dirted tank, and then left the book with two problems. One of the problems was that the the uh, the nutrient level depleted after about a year, making it impossible for the tank to really sustain itself much beyond that. That was one problem. The other problem was that she used gravel as a cap to her dirt, and that allowed the dirt to leach through the water column, which in part caused the depletion of nutrients. But in addition, the nutrients were depleted simply by being used up. So I set out early on to solve those two problems uh, with enormous approval and support for the work she had done, following on the heels of Amano and Garf and Merle Cohen, who brought this system into the hobby. She built the science for it, but she didn't invent it. It was something truly that went all the way back to the 1800s when glass was first made flat enough to be able to build aquariums. And the very first aquariums were built with dirt, with soil. It was a common experience. That's how they kept them. So it's not anything new, but it's something that became passe and was ignored mainly because I think the transition occurred back in the 1970s when a good friend of mine, John Coleman, who was the head of the Shed Aquarium, was visiting uh, an aquarium in Madrid, Spain, on the shores of the Mediterranean, and discovered a system that was being used there in that aquarium, in which they were running water from the ocean through sand, through gravel and a grid in the bottom of their tanks and running it through and then reusing it, the so-called under gravel filter. John brought that back to the shed aquarium, implemented it throughout the aquarium, and it became all the rage in this country. Suddenly, the entire industry was caught up in the throes of the under gravel aquarium. Well, primary change that occurred at that point as a result of that was moving from sand to gravel. I remember when I was a child, the tanks had sand on them, no gravel. It was all sand. But then with that under gravel filter, it had such an impact and required gravel because the sand was too fine. It packed it, so it made it impossible for it to work. That then caused as as the as the gravel system, the the under gravel filter system began to demonstrate that it really was a failure as a system. Then then there were attempts to try to change that. And that's when people like Amano, people like Bart, people like Wallstead began back to dirt as a substrate for the aquarium, but they were stuck with gravel. And what I discovered is that if you just put sand on it, that dirt does not migrate up through the sand. It comes through the gravel because water washes it out. But if you do a couple of inches of sand on top of that soil, that doesn't happen. The other issue, and it's one Amano discovered when he realized that you had to have some supplements built down into that system when it was first laid down. The Green Machine was famous for dusting the bottom of their tank with amano powders, which were all minerals, and then laying soil on that and sand on top of that. So I took that and began to develop a formula for what really ought to be in that supplement in order to be able to make it last long enough for the cycle to fully balance and fully cycle such that minerals were being fully converted and cycling in the system. So that's the basic difference. And to this day, Dinah Wallstead has not accepted that system. She's not accepted the principle of a truly balanced long-term permanent system. And I still, although I found she and Bill Barr on their aquatic plant channel server, there are more and more people now claiming that the father fish system really does work. So they're not bad mouthing it today nearly as much as they were a few years ago. Hope that answers your question.
If I can follow it up, so just to put it succinctly, your system differs from Waldstedt in that your system uses sand. That sand is what you're saying is going to keep the nutrients down into the plant level, the dirt level, whereas the gravel that Waldstedt used would allow too many nutrients to go up and then get used or water changed out. Is that the idea, Father Fish?
Well, that's part of it. That's part of it. The other part is the supplement, which is a composite of minerals and other organic material in strain that we have added to, much as you would add fertilizer, except these are all natural ingredients that we add to the substrate in order to make it possible for it to last years um, without becoming depleted. So we try to put enough down in there so that it's going to survive 2, 3, 4, even 5 years until the minerals are able to fully cycle throughout the system.
Does anybody have any other questions? Because otherwise I want to ask him one more. All right. Okay, Father Fish, thank you for answering that. I do have one more question because I think you're in a rather unique position to explain this. I spent most of my adult aqua keeping career inside of Illinois as well. So I had the Sheds Aquarium influence there in Chicago as well. I came down to Florida and I realized something right away. I shouldn't trust the fish. And the reason why is that I came to Florida to find ick for the first time. I came to Florida to find things like Odinium for the first time. We never saw that up in the central Midwest. We see it here all the time inside of aquarium stores. And so I'm going to ask you, as a former store owner here, what is it about either sourcing or the climate that is so permissive of disease, so concentrating of disease, to the point where I feel that whenever a fish comes into my systems, you're crazy if you don't use the erythromycin, the praziquantel, metronidazole, and formalin plus malachite green as a cocktail to immunize the fish and control possible disease vectors. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Well, those problems exist here in Maryland as well. And as I talk to people around the world, they exist everywhere. You may have been fortunate in Illinois, um, but Odinium and ick are pretty persistent everywhere. Now, in the case of those are two very different conditions. Ick is a parasite. It's a zooplankton parasite, and it is a cold water parasite. It 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 is found in North America. It's found throughout Europe too, for that matter. But it never it never takes out entire populations of fish in the wild. It's persistent, but it's controlled, and it's controlled by virtue of the 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 biological system itself. Of the thousands of organic critters, microscopic life type critters that live in the water, full 50% of them are parasites. 50% are parasites. Now, most of those, the great majority of them, parasitize each other. So they never really impact higher order animals. As a result, the ick parasite is controlled by other parasites. So we don't find it running rampant in, uh, in an environment in the wild the way we do in a fish tank, where there are attempts to maintain something approximating sterility. In a in a very clean tank, the introduction of Odinium or ick will run rampant. That does not happen in a tank in which there are serious efforts to create a biological load that is balanced. That is to say, by bringing in organic material from the wild and installing it into your aquarium, you're creating an environment that replicates the environment that is so successful in nature in general. You're bringing in the very balance that makes it possible to control these parasites that get out of control when there are no controls over them. And sure, we use all sorts of poisons and toxins as a way to control them because we're not permitting natural natural systems to be able to provide the natural control that they do. Just as a side note, with the ick parasite. Now I understand there has been a recent introduction of a parasite, a nick parasite, that is not temperature sensitive. But the North American parasite is highly temperature sensitive. By raising the temperature in the aquarium to 86 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 degrees centigrade, that parasite becomes inactive. It drops off, it goes down into the substrate, and it lays there. Doesn't die, but it lays there. It becomes immobilized by the temperature. If it stays at that high temperature for 3 to 4 days, it will die because it must eat to survive. It does not contain enough nutrient resources to be able to sustain itself beyond a few days. So by raising the temperature in the tank that has ick in it to 86 degrees and leaving it there for a week and then bringing it back down, I bring it down to 82. I find 82 is a better temperature for tropical fish than 76 or 78 is. By bringing it back down, the ink is gone. It can reappear because it can be reinfected to go back up again. And it controls it, absolutely controls it with no loss. And I have hundreds, if not thousands, of people who have tried this method and swear by it. They have stopped losing fish to ink. They no longer fear it. Adenium's another matter. I use um, I use chemicals when I have adenium. Although what I have noticed in the tanks that I'm setting up now is I don't get adenium. It doesn't happen. And I believe it's because I'm providing enough of a biological balance in the system to be able to control that 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 in that it's really a product of a foul condition, that infection. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else? Dana, do you have any questions? Okay. The chat is talking about the chat's talking about the use of UV sterilizers as a way of controlling pathogens. It certainly works. The unfortunate part of it is that it kills everything. Um, it'll kill even the bacteria that are needed in order to break down waste. So long term, it's not a fix. It's an effective short term fix for uh, for certain pathogens. Long term, I would not maintain a system on UV indefinitely. I think you're just asking for trouble because you're going to wind up with some bacteria in there that are impervious to UV, and they will explode, take over, and destroy the system. Anything else? Crickets. Crickets, I hear. Anything else, Dina? Okay, all right. Well, Paul, thank you for inviting me. It's wonderful to see you guys. Um, I miss collecting in Florida. I can't get Everglade, and I can't get pygmy seahorses, and I'm really dying for them. I really want to get them in the worst kind of way. If anybody's got some who want to ship to me, be happy to buy them from you.
You have to go to North Jersey. They all have them.
They've got Erectus.
No, they
There
have.
are some people, yeah, there's some people locally who are breeding them. In fact, there's a seahorse farm not far from me that is breeding the pygmies. So I've got an order in with them for pygmies.
I say
Everglade another problem.
North Jersey. They have the person who runs all their digital stuff. He was breeding the dwarf seahorses, so I bought some off of him. And my old roommate was she was breeding the pygmy sunfish, along with several other members.
Yeah, I've not been able to get around yet. I know there are a lot of really good breeders and really good fish clubs in this area. I've been to a few of the club meetings. The problem with having a store is it gets you locked in. And I don't have staff yet, although it's coming along pretty well, that allows me to get out and visit, do the 2 3 hour drive to go visit a store or a club. But I'm excited about doing that. There are a lot of really good fish people in this area, and I want to get around and meet them. Are we all done?
Yep.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Nice to be with you guys.
Okay, I guess I should exit from here, right? The StreamYard. Like,
Okay. Zoom is gone. I think the club is gone. They have signed off. Well, that was fun. A little tense, but fun.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ah, mercy. You know, the problem with that kind of situation that occurred is that it causes people who have spent years developing ways of being able to be successful to feel threatened and to feel like somebody is saying to them what they're doing is no good, and I get accused of that all the time, and it's just not true. I think the problem is that there's the expectation that somehow if you spend 20, 25 years learning how to keep fish alive, then that's the price you pay. And anybody else who wants to do it needs to pay the price. And I just don't buy it. I think there's too much joy in this hobby among people who are just brand new and just want to be able to do something that's fun and exciting and interesting and that thrives. I mean, there are people who have green thumbs who grow plants. Why can't there be people who naturally create aquariums that are healthy for fish? Anyway, that's my story. Well, thank you all. Nice to be here. Good to have some friends hanging in there with me.
Hey, Christian B's got a question for you.
Sure.
Ditches, ponds, creeks, where's the best place to find pygmy sunfish?
I beg your pardon?
He wants to know the best place to find pygmy sunfish. Is it ditches, ponds, or creeks?
Ditches. Well, I know people who collect them in rivers,
That's cool.
like the Peace River. I also know people who collect them in ditches, like me.
That's cool.
And I'm sure they're in ponds, although they tend to, the ponds tend to be kind of specialized because the fish needs to be able to migrate into an area to be there. So it needs to be essentially in running water. But I know some ditches that are absolutely amazing. Just
That's cool.
absolutely amazing. And I may get back to them someday. Who knows? You never know. Anything else?
Actually, there's one more question.
Yeah.
Other than the substrate with the supplement, I don't need any extra CO2 in there if I have it planted 50%. Also, what red plants do you recommend, if any?
The Ludwiga are always the easiest. Um, and they don't require intense light. There are a number of kinds of Ludwigia that are pretty effective red plants. You may only get the red at the top near the light, but it's they're pretty good and they're a lot easier to do than some of the other kind of fancy red plants. If you want to get red plants, then you need to buy them from Dustin. Dustin has amazing plants, just remarkable plants. I don't think there's anybody any better anywhere than Dustin for plants. Remarkable stuff. Very well. Thank you all. I'm going to sign off. Dina, thanks very much for
Hey, you're
helping out.
welcome. Glad to
Appreciate you
help.
all, appreciate you all hanging out there with me. This was an interesting evening, wasn't
That it was.
it? Bye for now.
Bye.